I feel like you're making the correct choice by not buying a Nintendo Switch 2. Do not buy the Switch 2 unless you're an idiot like me. I'm sad that I won't have a Switch 2 on day one. Now listen, this is what I think is the correct thing to do. I am a complete hypocrite when I say this, but listen. The Switch 2 is a sequel console to the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is by far the most successful console Nintendo has ever made in the history of their company. The Nintendo Switch made almost the same amount of profit as every single other console they've ever released combined. Now, it didn't sell as many copies, it didn't sell as many systems as those other consoles, but they did this through the business practices that they preached and then they enforced throughout the entire console generation about never reducing the price and it being the premium product on the market. And it worked extremely well for them because it was an extremely successful system. I mean, look at me. Look at my Nintendo Switch collection of games there, right? I have a fuck ton of games and every single one of them is $60. Or sorry, what is it in Australian? It's like $70, $80. That's how much a Nintendo Switch game costs in Australia. And these will never go on sale. Right? They'll always hold their value because Nintendo has been very strict on everything costing the same amount, right? Now, historically, with previous Nintendo systems, the NES, massive success. It was in a third of every one. 1 in 3 American families had a Nintendo Entertainment System in their house. What came after it? The Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the exact sequel to that console. Its revenue dipped dramatically. No one bought it as much because no one cared about it being more powerful. It was more powerful and more expensive. Okay, keep that in mind. Next, you had the N64, more expensive, more powerful than the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, right? The N64 is a little bit of an outlier in this because that one was just a failing console in general. Then GameCube did a little bit better than the N64, but again, it was more powerful. It was more expensive. It didn't even beat the Xbox, which was like the newest console on the market, right? Moving forward, again, you get the Nintendo Wii. This is where they made it a lot cheaper than the fuck me, let me talk. You have the Nintendo Wii. That did a lot better than the competing consoles on the market because they made it cheaper and they made it more fun, right? The most successful console in their entire, the most successful console that they've ever made. Holy, how you doing? We're talking about how the Nintendo Switch 2, if we're looking at historically, it's going to be a failure. The Nintendo Switch 2, you shouldn't buy it day one. Same thing happened with the DS. The DS was different to all of the competing products. It was cheaper and it had more fun games on it, right? One of the best-selling consoles that they've ever made. What came after the Nintendo Wii, chat? What came after the Nintendo Wii? Can someone answer it for me? What came after the Nintendo Wii? Say it with me now, chat. The Wii U. Legmat, 1,000 points to you. Well done. The Wii U. Now, the Wii U suffered from being a complete and utter failure because of two massive things. Terrible marketing. People didn't know that it was a new console. They thought it was an extension to the Wii and a new controller. And it was more powerful and didn't offer anything new. Are we sensing a pattern here? What came after the DS? The 3DS. It wasn't very successful. It was more expensive and more powerful than the original DS. And no one bought it, right? Now, fast forward to today. We have the Nintendo Switch. What is the Nintendo Switch 2? A more powerful and more expensive Nintendo Switch. Do you see the pattern that I'm getting at here? Do you see the pattern that I'm getting here? Every single sequel console to the one previous that does nothing new except for making it more powerful and more expensive tends to be a complete failure. Now, the way they combated this with the 3DS generation was originally the 3DS was super expensive. The president of Nintendo, what was his name? It's like Iwata or something. I can't remember the guy's name, but the president of the Nintendo at the time, he cut the price of the Nintendo 3DS and he made an ambassador program. So gave out free games to anybody who bought it at the launch price because they were the true fans. They were the ones who had it from the beginning, the early adopters. Nintendo now has new presidents. The Nintendo now has money-hungry presidents that only care about their bottom dollar, right? They only care about making more profits. So that means they're not going to be doing no ambassador program. What is everybody so upset about the Nintendo Switch 2 right now? It's way more expensive and it doesn't do anything new. The Nintendo Switch 2 is just a more powerful Nintendo Switch 1 that costs twice as much, and all of the games cost twice as much. All of the controllers cost twice as much. Not twice, but I'm exaggerating a little bit for dramatic effect. But this is the truth, right? The Nintendo Switch 2 is a much more expensive console, and everybody's pissed off about it. Here's what's going to happen. The hype is going to cause all of the diehard Nintendo fans, all of the shills like myself, to purchase the console day one. Now, all of the normies, all of the people who own a Switch 1, all of the people who owned a Wii, they're not going to buy a Wii U. Bitch, do you see a Wii U on my shelf behind me there? You see a Nintendo Wii. I don't have a Wii U. There ain't no Wii U in my system. I got the Switch because it was new and innovative, right? Take your console on the go. Not many people are going to buy a Switch 2. I don't think it's going to be as successful as everyone thinks it is. And not buying it day one is I think, going to be a really smart decision for most people. Do you understand what I'm getting at here, chat? They're not going to. I think after a year they'll notice that the sales are extremely down after the first month or two, and they're going to try drop the pie. They're going to drop the price, try and make their money back off the games, and even raising the games to $70 or $80 is I reckon they're going to roll back on that as well because it's not going to sell as well. People don't have the expendable income. We're in one of the worst financial times in history right now. People don't have the spare money to be spending on entertainment. Although there is the other argument where during the 2008 recession, people tended to spend more money on entertainment to try to distract themselves. So the Wii U was super successful in that time. So there is that argument for sure. Definitely agree with that. But yeah, in general, I don't think the Switch 2 is going to be as successful as people think it is. So to get back to the original point, Legmat, I think you're correct by not buying the Switch day one. I think you're making the right decision. I think everybody who isn't buying the Switch day one is making the right decision. And if it weren't for the fact that I streamed and I wanted to do something content related quickly on it, so I can ride the hype train, ride the wave of hype and people searching up the Switch 2 and gameplay of Mario Kart World, I wouldn't be buying it day one. I absolutely would not. I think it's a complete waste of money to buy it day one. Now, I don't know about the future of the Switch 2. All of my predictions could be completely wrong. Absolutely. And I'm fully aware of that. But based off history and previous consoles with Nintendo, the sequel console tends to do way worse than the original. And if it's not way worse, it's almost like company shut down complete failure, like the Wii U was. So if historic history might repeat itself with the Switch 2. Because be honest with yourself, what does the Switch 2 do that the Switch 1 doesn't? 120 FPS and 4K, and it's more expensive. The regular consumer, the casual gamer, isn't going to buy a Switch 2. They'll buy a PlayStation 5 digital edition because it's cheaper. Plays games at a better quality. They'll buy an Xbox Series S with Xbox Game Pass because you can get every single game for like a monthly cost, like Netflix. It's just a better. It's just an overall better option. I was just hoping it was gonna have 120 FPS. Yeah, it does say that it's gonna have 120 FPS. The actual Switch 2 seems to be extremely powerful. Metroid Prime 4 has been shown to be running at 120 FPS on the Nintendo Switch 2 Enhanced Edition. I am curious to see how the original Switch version of that game is going to go. I always recognize that pattern. I haven't really cared about the money spending, like as a part of what they say, stuff is facts worth. Yeah. Well, look, I'm going to get it day one. I will be the first Australian person to be live with my Nintendo Switch 2 on this table together. We're going to unbox it together. We're going to play the shit out of Mario Kart World. We're going to have the best time, and I'll give you my honest thoughts, chat. I will tell you if I think it's a waste of money. as of right now, before owning it, I actually think it's a complete waste of money to get it day one. I think precisely give it 6 months to a year, there's going to be a price drop. It's way too expensive. No one, it's definitely not going to fly off the shelves like the Switch 1 did. I think the Switch 2 is only $50 more. No, see, yes, the Switch 2 is only $50 more than the Switch, right? Or whatever number it is. But every single piece that goes with the Switch 2 is way more expensive, right? Think about it, right? You buy a Switch 1, the console's $300. Give it, I don't know the actual prices off the top of my head. This is just, take this as an example, right? You buy a Switch 1, you're buying the Switch, you got to have something to play on it, so you're buying at least one game. You got to buy an extra controller if you have more than one kid, so you're buying an extra pair of Joy-Cons. Those three things, $300, $60, $80 for controllers. Now it's $450. It's $90 for a new controller, and it's $80 for a new game. Like, the entire ecosystem is way more expensive, meaning it's a lot harder for people to get into the hobby, for people to get into the system, right? And I saw a video of someone talking about this very same topic, and he made an incredible point. I can't remember the guy's name. I can't remember the YouTuber's video. If someone in the comments knows the video that I'm talking about, please put their name in so I can give credit. But he made this really good point. A lot of what Nintendo's business model comes off of is nostalgia. People buy Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild because they liked Legend of Zelda as a kid. Now, if kids aren't buying a Nintendo Switch 2, that's an entire generation of children that they can no longer make money off of nostalgia from previous generations, right? People buy Mario Odyssey because they love Mario 64. You know what I mean? This is how they get you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, Nintendo are making a huge mistake by making these things so expensive, and I really think it's going to shoot them in the foot, not just right now with their consoles declining in sales and declining in revenue because it's way more expensive, but in the long run too, because they miss out on an entire generation of people to feed nostalgia through year over year. Do you know what I'm saying, dude? Anyway, if you want my opinion, I don't think it's gonna be a very successful console. I think the Switch 2 is going to be a Wii U situation. Not quite as bad as Wii U. Probably it'd be more akin to what the Nintendo Entertainment System did and then the Super Nintendo in terms of its sales and revenue drop off. But this is it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Fuck, bro. I love talking about this shit. Can you tell I get a little bit passionate about this video game stuff sometimes, chat? Fuck me, dude. That felt good to get off my chest. I feel like you're making the correct choice by not buying a Nintendo Switch 2. Do not buy the Switch 2 unless you're an idiot like me. Anyway, thank you for listening to my tech talk. I was on the Switch 2 and why I think it fails, or I think you're making the correct decision by not buying it. Catch you in the next one.